This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertaiment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
Vampires?
Zombies.
The Amish?
All that and more?
Cody, gather the crops.
Hold on, let me hook up the horses real quick. Whoa, now.
Settle down.
Okay, hold on. Let me unhook them now again.
Cool. Be stable now. Don't go anywhere.
Don't horseplay.
Welcome to episode 67 of the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
I'm Okami.
This is a special episode, guys.
Very.
So we got to sit down and interview Kerry Nietz, the author of the books we've mentioned on our social media pages. Amish Vampires in Space.
And Amish Zombies from Space.
The sequel book. So we've each sat and read these books, and we're going to talk to Kerry about the books in particular and some of his other work that he's done. His beginnings working from Microsoft on to today, and
Whatever else pops up, basically.
yeah, pretty much. So
Because we're not going to be Manila. It's just like, okay, talk.
you do it. You do your thing and talk.
Spill words.
Spill your beans everywhere.
Steven Spill words.
Exactly. Except his name's Kerry.
Yeah.
Kerry Spillwords. He's a neat guy. No pun
He's very neat.
But yeah, we're going to be talking to Kerry, and we hope you guys enjoy it. But before you do that, once again, guys, if you haven't checked us out on Podcoin, what are you doing with your life?
Not a damn thing, apparently.
That's right. So if you go to Podcoin and search Super Media Bros, you can listen to us and get rewarded for it. What kind of rewards do you get? You get Podcoin for listening to us. You can take the Podcoin, cash it in for things like Amazon gift cards, Starbucks gift cards. You can get prizes like headphones. Heck, you can even donate to charity.
So go get your white girl on, get some Starbucks while listening to our stuff.
Yeah. Or if
It's
you just
that easy.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you feel like being a good little boy or a little girl or anybody else, you can go donate your stuff.
To charities.
That's right. Be nice. Pay it forward. Also, you can listen to a lot of other great podcasts on there. It's probably the only way I listen to it now, and it could change the way that you listen to podcasts.
Get you all into that stuff.
That's right. And also, you can check these guys out as well.
I'm Kyle.
This is Steven.
Together we host a show called
Boar Meets World.
Tell them what we cover on Boy Meets World.
Boy Meets World.
But that's not all, is it?
No.
No, we cover life experiences. Ours. Oh, son of a. Alright, just check out the show, please. We really need it. Okay? We need a win. Just check us out. We talk about the show Boy Meets World. Each episode of our show, we run parallel for an episode of Boy Meets World where we will examine the show,
That's way too much.
what happens, our life, how it relates to it, experiences.
I can't believe you're still recording.
I am recording this. Check it out, guys. You'll get some hilarious stories from me and Steven from our childhood. You'll get a great... I lost it.
I'm losing it too.
I've done lost track.
I've lost track.
Too many pod coins everywhere.
All the pod coins. It's like Mario hits the square and all these pod coins. Woohoo! Bling, bling. Yeah. Anyway, I think we're going to be, finishing up rambling here. So why don't you guys sit back, relax, just like Cody's doing right now. He's sitting back. Tell him how far you're sitting back.
I'm actually on the horse, so...
Oh, are you ready to kind of...
off, yeah.
Are you going to ride off and then come back for the outro?
Yeah,
Oh, okay, cool.
so let's go.
All right, cool. You guys sit... Well, there goes Cody. He just left me behind. I guess I'll just run after him.
Fuck off.
Well, while I'm running after him, why don't you guys sit back and enjoy this interview that we have done with Kerry Nietz. I'm Midnight Agent Raw,
I'm Okami.
and we're sitting here with Kerry Nietz, author of Amish Vampires in Space and Amish Zombies from Space, along with a lot of other works that we'll get to in a little while. How you doing today, Kerry?
Doing great. Thanks.
Awesome.
Good to be here.
I guess we kind of want to get started with it. Because you have a background in software, correct? You have a background with developing Fox Pro?
Yeah. I was part of that team way back when, and worked on that for like 4 years, and then went to Microsoft and worked on it for a little while longer then too, and also worked on the product Expedia for a while, and then and I also worked on the back end for like a bill payment system too. So yeah, done a few things.
Well, did you were you always kind of doing the writing thing behind the scenes, or like, you know, were you doing any kind of drafts of anything while you were doing all that, or?
Yeah, especially when I worked at Fox Software, it was sort of a small family-run place, and it was just kind of crazy personalities I worked with. The boss, especially, you just never quite knew what was going to happen from day to day, and so I sort of took notes and eventually turned that into a little biography of that part of my life. So. But even when I was young, I wrote little scraps of things, little stories. My mom still digs out things that I started, usually science fiction, but sometimes other things too.
What drew you to sci-fi mostly? I mean, a lot of us, I know Cody and I listen, we read a lot of sci-fi, watch a lot of it. Was there anything in particular that inspired you to go that route as opposed to like any other kind of genre, or?
I grew up reading it. I was a big fan of like Edgar Rice Burroughs and Ray Bradbury and Isaac Asimov, and then Star Wars, of course. Like Star Wars was like big influence when I was a kid, so that made a big difference.
Yeah,
definitely.
I was gonna say, I think a lot of us have a big Star Wars influence. The two of us are just we're waiting for Episode 9, so.
Yeah, like my mom, she watched Star Trek, The Next Generation all the time, and that's what got me into sci-fi, but I didn't really get into that part of the space realm until Star Wars became introduced when I was in middle school, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Now did obviously the jobs influence like that first little novel. Like, do you have let's see, the ideas for your other books, like when you actually started producing novels rather than the first book, how did you draw inspiration for like certain characters and stuff like that?
Well, the first novel I wrote was like a cyberpunk story, and so I was able to draw a lot from my experience, just kind of being this coder with a lot of crazy going on around him, and it really was just kind of a confluence of different ideas that came together. I thought it would be cool to have this guy who, like, he fixed robots for a living. He's actually kind of a slave. He has an implant in his head that sort of connects into the future version of the internet, but also helps him interact with the machines he's working on. And it kind of went from there. Just like I said, and I could use a lot of my sort of coding experience with that. So it's the feeling of it, deadlines and lots of pressure, and
yeah.
Were any of the characters like based on people you may know, like personalities or any influences that they've had in your life? Like, did you draw that into your novels at any point?
Not directly, maybe certain features of people, but that's always a threat that authors make. Don't pick on me, or I could write you into one of my books. But but I've never really done that specifically, But definitely there are certain characteristics. If you're working like with someone who's sort of a bully, it's kind of easier to write that kind of character flaw into someone. So no direct parallels, but definitely bits and pieces of people.
Right.
That's life.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Now, the two Amish Vampire and the Amish Zombies books, I read that the Amish Vampires book initially was kind of born out of like a joke drawing or like a joke concept. How did all of that come into play as far as like getting it pitched to you and stuff like that?
Yeah, sure. It's kind of an interesting story. I wrote for a software for a publishing house called March Willard Press at the time, and the guy who owned the company, who was also the editor, he he would go around to these writing conferences, and I don't know whether you guys know, but there actually is a pretty large following of Amish romances out there. Like if you were to search for Amish romance on Amazon, you'd be surprised by how many books you got. Maybe hundreds.
Yeah,
probably.
we were discussing that actually earlier. Funny enough.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. So he would go to these writing conferences, and all the other publishers would be looking for Amish romance, and he wasn't in that. He was in speculative fiction, science fiction and fantasy, and he would say, the only type of Amish fiction I'm looking for is if it's something like Amish Vampires in space, and that was like the big joke, and he would say, so that was kind of this ongoing joke with him, and then at one point he sent the authors all this mock cover he made, and it had a some Amish characters in it, and they were clearly on a spaceship, and there was a little wooden casket there, and it was called Amish Vampires in Space. That was this mock book that he'd come up with, and so we it was kind of a joke between the authors. And at one point, I was exchanging email with him, and I said, someone should write that book. Like that title is intriguing enough that people would want to check it out. I think I said, I'm not sure if it's me because I usually write sort of harder science fiction, try to get as much science in there as possible. But someone should try it. Yeah. Well, a few months went by, and I finished up the trilogy that I was working on, and I kind of got this idea about how the Amish vampires might get into space, and and how that might all happen. And so I started writing, and I got about 30,000 words into it, and I sent him an email again. I said, "Hey, guess what I'm writing?" and when he stopped laughing, he said, "Okay, well, finish it, and if it's good, I'll publish it." So I kept writing, and it ended up about 130,000 words. So about a 300 page book, something right in there, 350, and sent it to him, and he liked it, and and a bunch of beta readers and whatnot, got it edited, and next thing you know, had a cover. It was published. So kind of cool. It helped too that the artist had done. I mean, he's done covers for a number of things, but he'd done some Amish romance novels too, and so for him it was a bit of it's cathartic. He was able to kind of make a science fiction novel that had Amish in it, and so we didn't really even tell him anything much other than the cover, and what you see was his take on it. So it was kind of cool, I think that when it was shared on Facebook, it like zoomed up to tens of thousands of shares. Just these people just intrigued by this idea. So we knew we were onto something.
Yeah.
Oh,
kinda
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah, because Cody had sent me the picture of the cover a couple weeks ago. Because we do a cult cinema series on our podcast, and he sends this thing to me, and he was like, "You're like, what? This needs to be a movie or something like that."
Yeah, that's funny because I did get some calls from Hollywood, which I hadn't had that happen before. But one of the funny things was that it got pitched to the Sci-Fi channel, but their executive said it was actually too far out in left field for them, which I thought was funny.
Makes no sense.
It's kind of
this is coming
a
from
badge of honor,
this is coming from the company
like, you guys did Sharknado.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's coming from the company that did Sharknado and all this stuff.
It's like too
really?
far left field. Like, how far left field do you need to be on Sci-Fi?
Yeah, I mean, tornado with sharks.
I know, right?
Maybe you should have did an Amish
I thought
tornado
there were no
movie.
limits, Apparently, Amish in space is a limit.
No,
so,
Amish sharks.
Amish Sharknado.
That's it. There
How
you
about
go.
that?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's wild, man. Like, because at first, like we said, looking at it, you would expect it, like, from the cover art and from the title to be something just like that. Like, what made you do because the book is really good and it's very straightforward. Like, it's a really, really good science fiction, very good speculative fiction. Like, what made
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. What made you go kind of like in a straightforward direction with it, rather than opposed to almost
like a satire, comical, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's the thing is that camp is really hard to maintain for a long period of time and have it still be good. Have it still be funny.
Right.
And I mean, comedy's tough no matter what. But I don't know. It's just kind of the way it hit me. It's like there's a story in here. And I thought it was really the idea of this pacifist society coming up against vampires and sort of what do you do then, and how does that work out?
Right.
That was just intriguing to me. It was intriguing to me, and so I just kind of ran with it.
Yeah, because honestly, man, I love the tension that's in the book, like the two different ideologies and the two different, kind of takes on logic and everything. Like the tension's really palpable as you get more and more into the book, and that it's really difficult to convey that in like written form. So like I loved it as far as all of it actually, but like as far as that went, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I feel by the time you get to the end, you're like kind of screaming, okay, what is going to happen?
Right.
And then that's what I love about it. I love about both of them. It's like by the time you get to the end, it's like, how is this going to turn out? So,
well, like I had the discussion with Richie not long ago about trying with any artist of any type of perception, whether it be book, movie, TV, whatnot. Like, how do you take something that's already been saturated so much in media and then make it interesting? And what you did when it comes to the novel form, you actually took a concept that isn't, well, and one side it is, one side it isn't, as saturated, and kind of influence it in and try and create a fresh idea with it, which I kind of thought about, looking at the cover, how do you make this interesting? That's the thing I was just so confused about. But then when I read it a little bit, and then I was like, okay, I can get into this. And people like us, we can get into that really fast and really easily. So you took it a direction, like he was saying, a very grounded, toned down to earth, no pun intended, approach to it, to where it can appeal to pretty much any audience in a matter of speaking, whether it be sci-fi, supernatural, or more grounded drama, kind of feeling to it. So like he said, you did really well with the approach to it, not making it too satirical to the point where it's like, oh, it's so campy, I can't get into it, it's too much for me, stuff like that. Because that's what a lot of people have problems with, is like, how do you make something that's already been done interesting? And like, did you have that problem whenever you were writing these books? Like, okay, yeah, the concept is brought out, now how do I make it interesting?
Yeah, I guess it's you just have the characters kind of wrote it for me. It was like, okay, you got these different characters, and a lot of times what you run into is trying to keep them from completely stealing the scene. Like there's a couple characters in there that is like they just I love writing them, and you kind of know what they're going to do before they do it, and they just sort of write the story for you. Just kind of unleash them, let them go. So
yeah, absolutely.
Kind of weird things to go on in authors' minds. You can't really explain it. You just kind of have to live it.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And I think because all the characters are interesting in their own right, but I think Jebediah's character, like the character Jebediah, is just, I think there's a little bit of him in everybody as far as fighting the reality versus what you've always been taught to believe or what you believe in. And I really like that inner struggle that he conveys throughout the book. Right. Like that's
right. And then, and ultimately it comes about, okay, I have a family to protect too, and it's a tough decision, especially when you got vampires chasing you.
Oh yeah.
So
it's like a relatable to everybody that comes across this, in some form or fashion. You can actually level out with this person and be like, oh, well, I can relate to this aspect,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
So when you did this one, did you know that you were going to do a sequel book?
No, not necessarily, but my publisher and I kind of threw it around a little bit, and I was like, okay, what would we do next? And he goes, and he was like, well, because the way, where the culture is, pop culture is right now, it has to be zombies. And I'm like, okay, how zombies? Because again, I like a scientific spin on it, and then it came to me. I was like, okay, why are the vampires there? Well, to fight zombies, of course. And so then it all kind of came together, So.
Now, when the two of y'all collaborated on the idea and said, okay, I wrote it out, here it is, we print it and publish it, whatnot, did y'all expect it to have any kind of backing? I know you said earlier about the shares of the page being, massive amount. Did y'all expect it to really take off as much as it did, or did you kind of expect it to kind of mellow out and be like, oh, well, it happened, Yeah,
I didn't expect it to have the legs that it has. It's definitely kind of evergreen. It shows up on lists every once in a while, or someone's talking about it, or I see it on Twitter. But yeah, I had no idea. I think at one point I was following Twitter just for Amish Vampires in Space to see what's being said, and because I'm not a big Twitter user at all, and I counted, was it 12 different countries and at least 7 different languages, where people were talking about this,
awesome.
thing, and it was like, wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah. And then of course the Tonight Show thing happened.
That was fantastic, I have to say.
Yeah, and there's sort of a behind the scenes story there too. I don't know if you guys want me to get into it, but
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
So another thing that happened with this book is that a few months after it was originally released, the publishing house I worked with got sold, and the new owner he decided he did not want Amish Vampires in Space.
Oh, no.
and it wasn't because like he never read the book. I mean, that's his decision. He's a busy guy, whatever. I don't hold that against him, but it was more about how is this being perceived by the actual Amish romance writers, and this idea, I guess that I was sort of stepping on toes or whatever. I don't know, but if you read the book, it's a pretty serious take, and obviously it's not really stepping on anybody's toes. But so that happened, and so I had like a couple weeks to sort of take it from the state it was in and turn it into an indie title, and so we made it happen. And it was over Christmas, so I had a new dimension to it because I have young kids too, and we got that done, and sales stayed. See, that's the thing. Sales were great, and sales stayed great, and with really hardly anybody noticing that it switched to an indie title. Well, a couple months went on, and a friend of mine sent me some typos she had found, and it's like a dozen, and a book of that size is not really that much, but
right.
But the sales is slow enough, and I said, hey, I'll make the change, I'll fix those, I'll get a new version out there. Well, I was getting them printed through Amazon, and the way it used to be is if you make that change, they took the book down for a while. So while I was trying to get just a simple typo thing fixed, it sort of took days and days for the elves that were working on it behind the scenes on their side to get it approved and ready to go. Mm-hmm. And I finally got it. So it was a little frustrating because it showed as out of print on Amazon for a while, but like on a Tuesday morning, I finally got it straightened out, and it's back live. Well, Tuesday evening is when it showed up on the Tonight Show.
Mm. Oh wow! Oh no!
So literally, like 12 hours later, it showed up. It was talked about on the Tonight Show, and then it was craziness. So
like Amazon pretty much nixed it, and it was like, oh, by the way, Jimmy Fallon came up and was like, no, it's not dead.
Oh man.
Yeah. It was. Thankfully, I got it back live, and it may have, but had it not worked out in timing the way it did, it wouldn't have been live when that mention of Jimmy Fallon happened.
Yeah, that's true. So,
kind of cool.
Yeah.
Did you notice a
Perfect
spike
timing,
in
you
the
know?
Yeah, right. I was gonna ask if you noticed like a sales spike when that happened. Like if you noticed it kind of get a little more push and buys whenever it got mentioned there.
Oh yeah, it made
I
a
figured.
big difference. Even that 15 seconds, it made a huge difference.
Right, man, because we posted that clip on our social media, and like because we still like because it's one of those instances of like you see the cover and you like because we did too. You see the cover and you think almost exactly what he says. Like, do we really need another Amish Vampire space book? And it's like, no, man, like reading the book, it's good. So like that's.
Yeah.
Like in my kind of estimation, the joke's on him
Right.
a little bit.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and it was kind of a backhanded compliment, to the uniqueness of it too.
Sure.
If you saw the whole segment, you see most of the books he was sort of making fun of were really kind of weird. Like one of them was a self-defense novel where essentially every move ended up in a groin shot,
Oh my God!
Like, and with pictures, So like every single move was a groin shot, and
well, that'll be a
and then
book.
there was another one that was like cooking with a Dutch oven, so it was just kind of weird ones. And then he got to mine, and it was kind of this showed the cover and put it on the desk there, and there was a little joke about having the T-shirt or whatever. So it's, again, kind of a backhand compliment. I'll take it.
That reminds me, I was going through Amazon and I saw the book, and then they had I showed you the picture of it. It was the cat self-defense from what was it? Satanism, gun defense, fight. It was like a book for cats to self-defend.
Yeah, I can't remember the title of it either, but it was wild, and I was like, for cats, okay, like actual, like it wasn't like an acronym for anything. It was like actual cats on the front of the book. It was wild.
Yeah, because it had like a kitten with a handgun next to it. And it's like, yeah, protect your kitten from being misusing a handgun or something. I'm like, what?
Why? Oh, why?
Yeah.
I guess they see the title of the book.
You can find anything.
Yeah.
You can find anything today.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Well, I had a interesting question, and I was talking about it earlier too before we mentioned it. At one point, did y'all ever have an instance, like a kind of like a serious instance, where somebody who represented a certain community of the Amish community was like, yeah, Mr. So-and-so found out that you wrote books about his community or the Amish community and vampires, and he didn't really like it. So we're kind of, saying, don't do this, or it was kind of like pretty much smooth sailing with anything like that.
Like you had any backlash from it?
There was some I ran into on Facebook. It didn't really bother me much because I knew what I wrote and why I wrote it. I knew, and most of the people were being critical and had no idea. They were just sort of reacting to the cover or whatever. I did run into one writer who wrote Amish romance, and she was of the mind that unless I was Amish, I couldn't write about the Amish. And I was like, well, come on.
Yeah, exactly. Because
they're not copyrighted or anything.
No, and it's also it's a collaborative effort, because I remember reading in the foreword also that you had a partner that helped as far as like the legitimacy of what you were writing and the accuracy. And it from what I've read online and studied about the culture, it's very accurate.
And there are books you can buy to read about the culture, and I read those and researched them, and so it you do your best. It's not gonna be perfect, but it is really just people looking for a reason to be offended. I think
gripe,
more than anything.
I mean, that's social media for you, though.
Right.
So, are you gonna plan on having a third book in the series, or has that ever?
I am.
Awesome. Excellent.
Yeah, actually, I'm actually working on it right now.
Good news, listeners.
Good news, everyone.
Hoping by this summer.
Ooh.
So, that'd be excellent.
We'll see.
Because now it's sitting here, it's like vampires, zombies, and then
this.
It's a mystery, I guess, at this point of like, what's this one gonna be?
See, if it was for me, it'd be a werewolf.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, if it were us, if it were both of us, like the natural third pick was like, werewolf or something like that. It's got to be something similar. So,
yeah.
But
that's a pretty good guess. I guess that's where you'd find out.
Oh, we can't wait. That's going to be great. So,
I will say that my cover artist is tickled, so that's a good sign.
Oh, there you go.
He's excited about putting it together. So
now you've had a string of novels after these two. What was it like going from writing the Amish vampire and zombie books to getting back in? Did you feel like you had to kind of get back into a different mode to continue on? Because you have a book called Rats and then another novel, Rats 2. I just found them and I want to get them. Like, can you explain, like, without giving a lot away, like, what was the story behind it?
Sure. No. Yeah. Like the Rats books are based in this place called the Takamo universe. It's a gaming universe that has existed since the 80s, and originally it was like a mail-in game, and at some point a few years back, the owners decided they wanted to try to make a full multiplayer, MMU system, and I think that's in the works. But these stories take place in that universe, and it's sort of like having the Star Wars playground handed to you, because it's just because of so many decades of kind of storytelling or story making in that universe. There's just a lot to pull from, and so you don't really need to know that gaming universe to play them, to read them, because it's all sort of explained along the way, and so and Rats basically just the main character is a man-sized rat. And it's sort of his coming of age story, and then sort of the second book sort of turns into more of a Firefly take on the universe, with him being one of the characters. So
that's awesome.
Imagine Firefly with the crew being giant rats, and you're pretty close to what it's like.
So the fans will basically get continuation of Firefly in some way.
Exactly. Sold.
Yep.
Totally sold.
Sort of an homage, an homage to that, but with rats.
Right.
Fire rats.
So, yeah.
That's awesome, man.
So it's fun, and there are other stories in that universe written by other author friends, but yeah. So that's one thing I'm doing, and then I jump back into the cyberpunk world for a while too. So, I don't find it. Haven't found it a real strain to jump around. You kind of get your head in the character, and then that sort of makes it easy.
It gets like your niche, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you're from
a little different part of your brain.
Exactly.
I don't know how to explain it, but.
Now you're from Ohio, so I know you've got to be an avid Superman fan.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I was gonna say, man. Like, I know I saw you post about wanting to see Shazam and everything. That kind of brings me around here as far as that, because I think all three of us collectively love like comics and stuff like that.
Oh, definitely.
So
yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing like a superhero-ish graphic novel, or like creating your own comic book character, like superhero or anything like that?
Anything's possible. I haven't thought about it just because I have so many other things sort of on my plate, but I wouldn't be against that either. It definitely is. I enjoy those. Like, I enjoy superhero stories and comics from way back, and I have friends that do them too. So, maybe someday, I'm open to it.
Superhero rat.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. There you go. The wrath of the rats. I don't know.
The wrath of rodents.
Yes. That's awesome. Yeah, man. Because you see a lot of that nowadays. Like there's more like comics are like still like the regular comics that we've seen, but you see more thicker like collected trade paperbacks or graphic novels.
Yeah.
Have you thought about doing that with any of your previous works, like maybe doing kind of graphic novelizations of them, or have you thought about?
Yeah, it's been discussed with Amish Vampires, for instance. It's just a matter of getting all the resources together, and there's only so many projects I can stay ahead of, because I have someone who's looking into making this like a Spanish version, and I'd like to do another audio version that's like a full cast version. We have
that'd be
people,
that
different
would be
people, playing the characters and sound effects and like that whole thing. So, That's sort of something that's been talked about. But you know,
Very cool.
all takes time and resources. So
Oh, definitely.
we'll get there.
Yeah, we're looking forward to all that stuff, dude. Because like I said, we really enjoy your work a lot. I noticed.
Thank you.
I noticed. Now correct me if I'm wrong. In reading the first Amish one, I noticed a little hint of Philip K. Dick in there a bit. Like, is he an influence on you as well?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah,
Definitely.
yeah. Because
Yeah, for
we're-
sure.
Yeah, I was gonna
Like,
say
in fact,
we're big
my-
Blade Runner fans.
My
So.
mask book
Mm.
is definitely a bit of a flip of a story I read of his unknowingly when I was in high school. You know, and so yeah, he's and the cyber stuff too. You know, yeah, he's definitely been an influence for quite a while. So
Yeah. Have you
Yep.
have you seen his the TV series on Amazon? Is it on Amazon? That Philip K. Dick has like and I
Yeah.
can't remember the name of it.
yeah, it's like Electric Dreams, right?
Yeah,
I've
I've been
seen bits and pieces. I haven't sat down and limited TV time, but I have seen part. Have you watched it? Or
Dude, no, I've been wanting. It's on my to-do list. Like I have so much stuff.
okay,
Cody and I both have so much stuff in our like to watch queue, and that's been one of them. And every
Right.
time I see it flip back around, I'm like, oh man, I keep forgetting about this. I want to watch this, but I feel like
Yeah.
we
now
as a
Man
society.
in the High Castle, I've watched that, and that's based on his book too. So I don't know if you knew that or not, but
No, it didn't.
the Man in the High Castle is on Amazon is based on a Philip Dick novel. So that whole idea of a parallel world where the Nazis won the war and the Japanese too.
Oh,
that's
wow.
so
Oh, that sounds
kind of took that
wild.
concept and expanded it. And it's an excellent drama. It's very interesting.
Is that some of
I
like the
recommend
better television you've watched here recently, or do you have any like television that has influenced you in some way as far as like, oh, this gives me an idea for something I'd like to write in the future, or it all kind of goes together,
Yeah, it kind of flows together. I don't have any big likes right now. I definitely was a Battlestar Galactica fan when that show was on. And shows like that. Even Stargate, some of those shows I like.
Man,
Ones that have deep space and ancient civilizations and
Right.
yeah, Stargate.
all good.
Stargate was great television. I miss stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's hard to come across really good. Let's say it's hard to come across good sci-fi. It's hard to come across sci-fi that's done well. Like as far as like the presentation of it. Because some stories can be good, but the presentation just falls flat on its face.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Right.
Altered Carbon. Have y'all seen that?
I've seen parts of it.
Altered Carbon is actually really good, like sci-fi, cyberpunk, telling. Because if y'all watch like Ghost in the Shell, it's basically the same concept where they have like their input is in different bodies or different sleeves, basically, and they can just be transferred, if they need to. But they really did a good job, like storytelling elements and action sequences, like combined. It was such a good series.
Yeah, I'll check more of that out. I've only seen bits and pieces. Again, like you, I have a list of things I'd like to watch and just little time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think before we wrap everything up,
Sure.
have you been keeping up with like all the Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff?
Sure. Yep.
Do you have any predictions?
What do you want to talk about?
I was gonna say, man, do you have any predictions for Avengers Endgame when it happens?
Oh man. Now, I was definitely minded. Okay, they're going to do something with the whole quantum realm thing.
Yep.
Like that Ant-Man thing, but then the last trailer is like, okay, looks like you're heading to just take Thanos on straight out. So I'm now I don't really know where they're going. I'm not sure.
Well, I got a pitch for you. I don't know if I've talked to you about it, Cody, but I definitely have a theory to toss at both of you and see what you think. So, I think what's going to happen is definitely the quantum realm. I think Ant-Man is going to use it. I feel like Captain Marvel has a lot to do with it because some of her DNA builds to be a physical representation and the power of one of the stones or any of the stones.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to travel.
That's true.
I think they're going to time travel and steal the stones and I think Tony Stark is going to try to replicate the gauntlet technology to wield it. I don't know. That's just my whole thought.
Almost like to try and reverse everything.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
It is interesting if you watch the last trailer when they're going into space. That in the ship that they show, Stark and Ant-Man are not in the ship there with them.
Right.
So where are they at? What are they off doing?
Yeah.
So maybe that's them in the quantum realm. I don't know.
That would be pretty cool.
Be interesting to see.
Yeah, I can't wait, man. That's gonna be awesome. I think all of us, as a collective, and just the world, because that movie is gonna do some big business at the box office.
They're already predicting high numbers for this one.
Yeah, they've already tracked it to get 900 million opening weekend worldwide, and that is insane.
Yeah,
that is insane.
And it's
almost $1 billion. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have a big feeling this may be the movie that tops Avatar, honestly.
Oh, dude, I don't know about that. That's going to be really hard, being that the last few Star Wars films and Infinity War didn't do it.
I don't know. It may do it. It may not.
It's amazing. It's amazing that Avatar's still on top, after all that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, dude. And I think what it has to do with, honestly, is that James Cameron, I want to say, re-released that movie 2 times over. And
yeah, that helps.
Yeah, and it was one of the first at the time, like the current 3D technology that we have now. That was one of the first movies to utilize it in such a way. So I think that was a big marketing selling point too.
Yeah, could be.
I don't know. I think all 3 of us are looking forward to that.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm waiting to see. I'm excited. So.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, I think we'll let you go and we'll get on out of here. But dude, I am, and I know Cody is. We're looking forward to the third part of the Amish trilogy for sure.
Okay.
Maybe we'll probably try to get. Huh?
I'm looking forward to people reading it.
Oh God, yeah.
So
we'll promote.
Got to get it done.
Yeah, we'll promote the heck out of it, man. And hey, if you want, you're more than welcome. We'd love to have you back on and talk about it whenever the time comes.
That'd be fun. This has been fun.
Awesome, man. Well, we look forward to catching up with you sometime down the road.
All right, guys.
Have a good one, Kerry.
Great talking to you.
Same
okay,
here.
see ya. Bye.
Dude,
why are you still here?
You left me here.
You didn't come?
No, I tried to walk after you, but I lost track.
It took you this long to realize you could have just simply walked 20 feet away. Because I was literally right over there. I was exercising Nellie, okay?
Whoa, Nellie, okay.
She needed some exercise.
Was it hot in there?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just making sure.
So she had to go eat some oats. Yeah.
Okay. Were they Quaker oats?
Yeah.
The dude on the cover scares me.
Well, that's your fault.
That's Chucky Finster's fault, sir. Just saying. Anyway. No. I sat here and I waited. I sat here and waited for you. I mean, I had some podcasts to keep me company while I sat here and waited, but...
did you know?
I did. I sure did. But, if you guys are lonely out there and want to have a podcast to entertain you, you can listen to past, present, and future episodes of us at supermediabrospodcast.com. That's if you're lonely, of course.
I was going to say, who is not lonely?
I don't know, but if you are, you always have us.
Come to us. Let us guide you in with our warm passion.
That's it. But if you have social media and you're lonely, Facebook.com/supermediabros.
Click it.
Twitter.com/supermediabros_.
Scroll it.
And if you just want to peek into our lives, Instagram.com/supermediabrospodcast.
Like it.
Come look at our stupid pictures.
Well, you just ruined the mood.
I'm sorry.
Now I'm just going to... No.
Are you leaving?
Yeah.
No, please don't go. Please. He left me. He left me. He left me. Well, you know what? I guess I'll cheer myself up. And you guys can be cheered up by reading the rest of Kerry's novels if you go to kerrynietz.com Kerry Nietz on Twitter and Kerry Nietz on Facebook, and we'll put all those in the show notes below. While I await Cody's return. It's going to be sad. Oh, he's right here. Are you going to leave me again? Please don't go.
Don't go.
Oh no.
Don't go away.
I don't want you to go away. Please don't.
I'm right here.
No. Okay, good.
You're like, no, go. Don't stay.
Don't stay. That was episode 67, The Science of Fiction with Kerry Nietz. I've been Midnight Agent Raw.
And I've been Okame.
Shades on.
We're off.